Please stand for the reading of the word. Our reading comes from Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 14. Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led his flock beyond the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of a bush. He looked, and the bush was blazing, yet it was not consumed. Then Moses said, I must turn aside and look at this great sight, and see why the bush is not burned up. When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses, and he said, Here I am. Then he said, Come no closer, remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. He said further, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have observed the misery of my people who are in Egypt. I have heard their cry on account of their taskmasters. Indeed, I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them from the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the country of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The cry of the Israelites has now come to me. I have also seen how the Egyptians oppressed them. So come, I will send you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? He said, I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that it is I who sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship God on this mountain. But Moses said to God, If I come to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your ancestors has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. He said further, Thus you shall say to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. This is the word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
I told the choir I was going to stand over there and preach to them while you guys looked at my back. And so you can kind of feel what I'm feeling, or what they feel every week. So we're in week 2 of our sermon series on courage. And the bottom line is this: you can do what you should even when you don't feel ready. All right, let's read it together. You can do what you should even when you don't feel ready. One more time. You can do what you should even when you don't feel ready. All right, so that's what they're learning upstairs. What I would just simply say is you should just say, I surrender. All right, just like that. So hold your hands up and go, I surrender. All right, because you got to have a universal sign of this for surrender. All right, so show me your hands, church. Come on. I surrender. Not all of you are surrendering yet. Let's go. I surrender. I'm watching you, brother. Let's go. Hold the hands up. I surrender. All right, so now we're all ready to surrender to God. Let's see what he says for us. In Joshua 1:9, this is the verse that we've been learning this whole month. It says, here is what I command you to do. That's the part we didn't tell the littles upstairs. Is we're commanding them to do this. But this is really what it says. Here's what I command you to do. Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. And listen to this part. I will be with you everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. So I surrender. There's this statement that I hear when I was young, and I still hear it today, and I'm not sure if it's a good statement in life or not, and you guys can judge it right now. Help me grow in my educational understanding of life. It's a statement that says, curiosity killed the cat. Curiosity killed the cat. Is that a good statement or a bad statement? Somebody help?
Good.
Good? How many good people? Give me a raise of hands. Curiosity kills cat. Good statement. How many bad? It's a bad statement. See, I think we're all split in that way too. We're not real sure what curiosity killed the cat means, because I watch cats and I think they're kind of fun and stuff. I don't want them living with me. Don't get me wrong, but I do watch them and I think, oh, that's kind of cute how they move themselves around and about in life and stuff. And then when they get really scared, you watch them. They do that real fun jump. You know what I'm talking about? You ever see that? Like they just jump a turn real quick, like they're going to spin out of control and get out of there. And so I'm like, well, that's kind of I can understand that, a curiosity killed the cat kind of thing. It gets himself in trouble in life, but I also got to understand that curiosity sometimes takes courage. Curiosity is what brings a call to one person. And so I looked this week. Our job is to have courage to do something we haven't done. And if your little ones came Wednesday, they did something that we probably haven't done as a church in a long time. We did a prayer walk. And I don't know if you saw some of the pictures, but it was simply like this. We broke up into two groups. Jody had her group, and then there was the awesome group. That's my group. All right, and so if your kids were at the awesome group, you know exactly what we did. And so we would walk up, and so we started out our neighbors, and each kid had a little slip of paper, and they were supposed to pray a blessing upon the house. Peace and a blessing. That's how it says. Lord, bless this house with peace. All right, so it's a peace of hope and blessing. And so their job was to hold their hand up like this, read the piece of paper, and pray over it. And so I would grab two kids, because I didn't want them all doing it at once, right, Dad? So two brave kids, I said, who wants to go first? And you know how they are. Oh, no. And then, of course, you know, two little girls are the ones that go first, right? Nothing against guys. It's just, I guess they're not as survivalists as girls are nowadays. But so they walked up with me, and I kneel down, and I do this, and there's a guy sitting on the porch right across the street, and he's listening to his favorite music, drinking his favorite drink, and his favorite dog right there beside him. Right? And he's just jamming out. And he sees us walk up, and he just like puts his drink down, looking at us real weird and stuff, and then he sees these two little girls hold their hands up and start praying a blessing, right? And they don't get through it real well. And then he turns down his radio and leans in, and I said, they're going to pray a blessing of peace upon your house. Oh, then he really got excited. And they prayed a little blessing on him, and they did it. And he got excited, said, thank you guys, and all that good stuff. And those two little kids were like, wow. And then the other kids were like, whoa. And then we went to the next house, and there was somebody out there too, staying at that house. And so the two little girls again, next two, came up. And they prayed their blessing upon the house, and the house loved it, and they enjoyed it. And the kids are all like, well, what do we do when we stand? Well, you stand by it back here, and you pray with those two to give them strength and courage as they go forward. And so we went from house to house, and it was amazing. There's all kinds of people on the streets, you know, Wednesday night. I'm not sure what's going on. We got a busy neighborhood, all right? I'll just give us that. We need to be out there. Anyway, and so each kid did it, and it got better and better. And by the time I got down to the last two kids doing it, they were like, now what? And so, well, we go. And boom, they were off to the races. These kids couldn't race fast enough to the next house and pray blessings upon them and hand out little flyers. They wanted to hand out flyers next. They were like, we're going to take it up the next step, you know. I'm like, all right, hand out flyers. You guys do your thing. And you would see them, and each group of kids would stand and do it. And then some of them, they were like, well, this house got prayed over. I said, you can do it again. And they would wait, even though the group would take off, and they would hold their little hands up and pray a blessing upon the house. That takes some courage, doesn't it? What's amazing about it is that no matter how far they got, they would get a certain distance, and then they would look back. They would see, you know, am I still with them? Am I still there with them? And then they would take off again, you know. And of course, I'm that daddy part, like, hey! You know, you can't be down 2 blocks. Come back at least 1. That kind of thing. But they were in it. No fear. They wanted to cover not just this street, they wanted to go to the next street, and we're looking, well, we're out of time for prayer. We got to go back, you know. And so I saw that courage in our own kids. And it amazed me that just a little knowledge of understanding who God is, and then knowing that God is with them in this adventure, how exciting their life gets, simply because they surrendered to what was happening. I see the same thing with my dog. And I'm just saying, I love my puppy. She's 6 months now, and she's a total terror. All right? She just does dog stuff, but on the extreme level. I don't know if you've ever owned a German short-haired dog, but they bounce. I'm serious, they literally bounce. All right? And she's big, so she bounces this high. You know, that kind of thing. And she's got this inside her. She wants to do, well, what newborns do. Right? We see this in our newborns. Newborns will crawl everywhere, touch everything, taste everything, right? They're just touching, tasting, touching, tasting, touching, tasting. And you're like, as a parent, trying to herd them into certain areas because you know certain stuff tastes all right. Certain stuff, well, it's dirt. It ain't going to kill them too much, right? And so you allow them to taste and touch and feel and experience this world because why? They have this inside curiosity of learning what is going on in this world. And the only way to really know what's going on in the world is what? Get out there, taste, touch, smell, right? Be in relationship with. My dog, brought all this back to me about watching my kids because I would watch her and she just has to touch and taste everything. And for some reason, she thinks I taste really good because she's tasting this arm, right? And then I get her off of that arm, she comes and tastes this arm several times. I'm like, stop tasting my arm. And I literally will turn away and she'll start tasting other parts, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, come on now. I know what I taste like, and you need to stop doing this. But it's just curiosity of figuring out her boundaries and stuff. But in this breed of her, she loves to hunt. And so I go down to this road that's down the street from me, and it's a gravel road. And I know it's a road because it has a road sign, and there's people here who probably know the name of that gravel road, but it's out on Alt Road and just goes forever. And so I allow my dog to do what dogs do. You unleash them, right? And let them run. And then she just goes. And I mean, she goes. But she only goes so far and she'll stop. She'll turn her head and see where I'm at. And if I'm too far, she'll come back in a closer range and then lose her mind again. And you see this repeating back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Her going out, tasting life, coming back, letting me know what she caught. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Just going back and forth and back and forth to where she gets real tired and it's time to go home. Type deal, and rest for 15 minutes before she wants to do it again. And so it just, I think about ourselves and our own life, well, are we courageous anymore? Better yet, do we have curiosity anymore? Are we curious about this world, about people, things, and places? Because in my mind, I tend to, I'm 50. I've gone through life a little bit, and it ain't been a whole lot of fun most of the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not talking about you guys. You guys are great right now. I know it. You've been coming to your church your whole life. You've got things squared away. I get it. I'm just saying me, man, I wasn't in church my whole life, and a lot of that time was just bad. And then I got in church, and you know what? Found out church wasn't as fun either sometimes. And that saddened me. And so I tend to go into self and start looking at self and wondering about self and what is self supposed to do in this world. In our scripture today, we see this same man, Moses, who was saved from this baby. He was basically an adopted child now, living adopted child problems. Honestly, he's not sure if he's loved by who and what, even though he's given everything he's ever wanted. He lives in Pharaoh's house, and so he's showered with everything a kid could ever want. The best of the best. I mean, if I wanted an Xbox, I'm sure I could get 3 if I'm in Pharaoh's house, right? If I want one TV, I get the really big ones in my bedroom, that kind of thing. If I want a car on my 16th birthday, well, you know what kind of car Pharaoh's going to give me, right? So I get everything I ever wanted. I probably don't even have to do well in school, Well, why should I? I'm going to get everything I ever want. And so you have this child who's adopted and getting everything they want and feels entitled about things to so much to the point to where he feels that he could probably get away with murder. And we see in the chapter before, Moses actually does murder someone. And then realizes, well, even Pharaoh's kid can't get away with that one. And he runs off, not sure who he's loved by, not sure who he is. And he begins what we call that journey in the desert, that wandering. But better yet, he is angry at himself so much that he can't let go of his past and reboot what God's future has for him. We see that even though he is married and has kids, he can't let go of his self-destructive stuff that he did in his past life. So he chooses a profession, we see, that even allows him to do the one thing he wants to do most, is run away. He constantly runs away. It says he's a shepherd for Jethro's family. We see that in that very first. Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest. Now we know it's a decent family because every pastor's family is the best. Amen? Yeah, my kids are not here, so they're gonna see this on Facebook and they'll comment later. So just watch it, you'll see. You know, and so as a pastor back then, believe it or not, their families were well taken care of. They didn't have a whole lot of need. Their main job was to be the minister of the community. And so, to be honest, Moses didn't have to be a shepherd. He could have had other people serve and do that job. But Moses, hating himself so much, decided to become a shepherd of a flock in his father-in-law's Jethro's house. And he says he led the flock beyond the wilderness. Now, this man hates himself so much, he doesn't just take the flock where it's supposed to go. Normally, he says, I need to be away from people and myself so much. I'm out. And sometimes I find myself, when I was working in the secular world, that I would work 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week. Why? It wasn't because I was working for the next party I was going to go to. It's because I just didn't want to be around. Do you see what I'm saying? Work that one job. They put me on a mezzanine. I don't know if you know, it's like, think of it like the balcony. And all I did was fold boxes and send them down the line. I was the only guy up there by myself. And I enjoyed it. You know, I had a lot of time to think what kind of person I am, what kind of person I'm going to be in life. I finally realized I didn't want to be that person someday, and I got an education and did something different. But I thought that was my lot in life. That's what I deserved, was to fold box after box, day after day, week after week, by myself. It was a lonely, lonely 2 years. And so we see Moses doing the same thing, running away from his past, running away from what his future may be. And then God does something in this story. He says he sparks a light of hope. And he puts it in his view path. Now, in the story, we don't know how long Moses walked by this light. But I'm going to tell you, in the story, it seems like he walked by this light a long time. In many, many days. Maybe even years. Because it says in there, it says, when the Lord saw that Moses finally started going towards it, he goes, oh, wait, all right, I'm going to stop doing my business over here, and I'm going to jump over here and finally talk to Moses. See, I believe in our lives that God puts these lights, this light of hope and stuff. The problem is we don't have enough curiosity to move towards our call. We're afraid of what might happen, or better yet, we just don't even want to understand because I'm so beat up inside, I don't want to move any farther in the direction I'm going, which leads to nowhere and by myself. And so when Moses sees this light, he walks by, and we know he didn't go the first time because he's like, oh, there's a fire, right? Well, nobody really cares about a fire the first time because fires go out, right? And eventually it goes by again. The fire's not out. It's being consumed. The bush is being consumed, but it's no fire. I got other things I need to do, right? And so day after day, maybe year after year, he goes by, and finally he goes, you know what? I need to check this out. And we see the story where Moses starts moving towards the light, and then God intersects into his world. And even this is still sad because he is approaching God, and God says, whoa, take off your shoes. You're about to enter holy ground. Something new is going to happen to you for the first time ever. And my prayer is that when you come to church, or you come close to this building, or better yet, when you come close to each other, you feel like you need to take your shoes off because you're home. You know? You feel at home. Not that new carpet home. You know what I'm talking about? That new carpet home where the person gets new carpet and they don't want anybody walking on it for the first year, right? You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying just a home where you feel comfortable. You could wear your sockies or not sockies and show your toesies or not show your toesies, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? That kind of home. And he's like, hey, you're coming home, Moses. Take those shoes off and get comfortable. Something cool's getting ready to happen. And then he gives him the direction. Hey, because now you finally see me and I see you, I want you to go do some stuff for me. I want you to go help these people. Why is that? Because Moses, you're here to serve, not to be served. I mean, your whole life you have been served. And where's that gotten you? Well, now you're here to serve, not to be served. Now go out and do this. And we see Moses says this in this scripture. Moses says, here I am. And then he can come no closer, remove your sandals, right? I am the God, your Lord, your Father, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Moses hid his face from the Lord. And then the Lord says some more stuff about this is what I want you to do, how I want you to go, and I want you to give this land of milk and honey. Basically, he's saying this new salvation is going to happen. And then, but Moses said to God, who am I? Who am I? That's a good question, isn't it? Who am I? Because in different life stages, we have to figure that out, don't we? I mean, when we were younger, I don't know about you, but I kind of look like a football player. I've been told that. When I was younger, that was my identity. H, the football player. I never said I was really good at it. They thought I was decent at it, but I don't know. But that seemed like for years, that's what I got to do with my life, the football player. I had another group of friends where I was called the partier, you know what I mean? None of you guys relate to that piece either. But there was that part in my life too, where I was doing sports and other things. And then I got out of that, and then I was H, the married man. You know, he's married. Wherever he goes, he's married. You can tell because he has this ring on his finger. He's married, and then he becomes H, the father. He's got a kid. And next thing you know, life moves on. He says, H has got 2 kids. Now who am I? Am I a father? Am I a son? Am I a dad? You know, am I H? And then we move along in life, and then all of a sudden I'm no longer H, the volunteer at church. I'm H, the worship leader, and then H, the Sunday school director, and then H this, and then H that. And I'm not real sure, again, who am I in this? I mean, I have Jesus in my heart by then. I'm still asking the same question, who am I? Then I become H, the pastor, right? And then unfortunately, a couple of years ago, I become H, the divorcee. So now who am I? So even today as a pastor, somebody following God and working his way through that, when God calls H to go and do, like we're getting ready to do, renovate this church. This week we're moving to Oregon and stuff if you want to hang out, all right? Help us move some stuff. This whole sanctuary gets done. So even when I'm serving in those directions and moving forward with this church, and even being told, I was told this, that you could never grow a traditional church. Ever. Go ahead and look around yourself and say amen.
Amen.
I don't know if anybody's told you you're in a traditional church. Okay? You came here, this is kind of traditional. But we're growing. Did I have the curiosity? Yeah, I had curiosity. I said, well, I want to know if I can. So I'm going to follow that light. But who am I now? Who am I now? And we find that Moses is almost 80 years old asking that question, who am I? I have spent 40 years in this desert walking these sheep, and I still can't figure it out. Who am I? And God said, I will be with you. What an answer, right? Who am I, God? I'm with you. Well, what about I'm with you? Well, can I? I'm with you. I really can't. I'm with you. Do I make this change? I'm with you. Well, what about I'm with you? How far can I go? I'm with you. Every moment, every breath, I'm with you. I'm with you. And then he says, this will be your sign. you'll come back here and worship. That's it. I mean, the kids will learn about the plagues and the miracles and everything like that, but God states out the statement, his first statement is that I'm with you, and this will be your sign that I'm with you, because you'll keep coming back. Your body will yearn for this. You will long for this. You will want this. You will move towards this. Something will whisper into you and say, get up, and come be with. How many of us had that experience this morning? Get up, come be with. Go ahead and own it. I'd like to see. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's not easy, is it? Why? It's because we're trying to figure out, who am I? And the only answer God gives is, I'm with you. That's amazing, isn't it? I think we can be pretty curious people at this point. I think we can start tasting life a little more. I think we can start adventuring a little more. I think we can start running a little more. And jumping and hiding and sneaking out of. And laughing more. Why is that? Because he says he is with me. My poor dog, God bless her, loves to adventure so much and jump that she sometimes forgets that there's obstacles in this world that may hurt her, all right? I don't know if you realize that, but there's probably been a few obstacles in your world that may hurt you, right? And put you down a little bit. And so the other night she's running, so now she's got this thing where she runs around the house. And the house, it's not as big as this pew set. It's probably maybe 3/4 of it. That I live in a small house now. And so she hops out off the balcony, hits the gravel, and I'm telling you, this is big gravel stuff. And she starts grabbing that gravel like this, and big chunks of gravel starts flying all over the place, and she leaves a bare spot, and she starts going. And she'll run around the house real quick to see how fast she can get there. And so she does this all the time now. Well, until the other night, and she did it at nighttime. And God bless her. And when she sees an obstacle, she thinks she can jump over it. That's how you do obstacles. You go through it, over it, that kind of thing. And there's this gas meter right beside my house. Oh, yeah, you can see it already. And man, she hit that meter. Oh, took that leg out, and she started crying and everything, come up to me. And of course, I feel the leg, make sure, she didn't bite me, so I figured it's not broke. That's how you check and see if something real bad is out. But now she doesn't run. She kind of walks a little bit slower, and then she looks back at me. And I'm like, you can if you want. You can if you want. And she'll try to take off, and then she'll walk around some more. But still, what I see from her is she's always looking back and wondering, are you with me? Are you with me? I really want to walk around this house, but I can't run. Will you go with me? And so I'll walk around the house with her. And she does it, as fast as she could probably do it. I swear I think God is like that with us. Because when he answered, Moses said, who are you really? He says, I am who I am. The real translation can be, I will be what or who I will be. I will cause to be what I will cause to be. I will be who I am. I am who I will be. Or better yet, I will be God to you. Individually. He's saying, I've got to go to all these people and share this wonderful news of who you are and the salvation's coming. Who are you? And he says, well, I'm God to you. I'll be exactly what you need. And I'll be exactly what you need, and what you need, and what you need, and what you need. I won't be the same God to this person and that person, but I'll be their God. I will be God to you. And so whatever your life looks like, whatever may be happening in your world, I want you to move from last week where you said, should I do this, or should I do that, to a simple, I surrender. I surrender. See, God's kingdom is not limited to any one personality, character trait, or set of gifts. He has a purpose, a plan, and a set of gifts for each of his followers. God often calls us to tasks that seem too difficult in life. know, I don't know what he's calling you to do or what changes you need to make, or, you know, maybe you just need to start praying, Lord, I want to see you while I'm running around hitting these obstacles, while I'm trying to taste life. Because the truth of it is I'm getting bored, and it's getting hard, and I just want to stay in bed. I just want to get up. I want some sleep. I want some laughter. I want to eat real butter. You know? Whatever that looks like. God often calls us to take tasks that seem too difficult, but he doesn't ask us to do them alone. God offers us his resources, just as he did Moses. We should not hide behind our inadequacies, whether I feel like it or not, because we see later in Moses just saying, I can't speak, I can't talk, I can't walk, I can't do this. God finally gets mad at him and says, all right, quiet, you're still doing it, but I'm sending your brother with you. You know, we can get into that later. Because what I love about that is that you can argue with God, you know that? You're still allowed to be a human being. And human beings are allowed to question and negotiate and change. Why is that? Because he gave you something no other person or other thing in this world has. He gave you a free will where you can choose. And God works around that. He's that big. He can work around your choices, whether you like it or not. And so he'll let you negotiate. He'll let you talk. He'll let you ride the skateboard without a helmet, even though he told you to do it. Right? As Moses did, but look beyond ourselves to this great resource available to us, which is God. Then we can allow him to use our unique situations and contributions. Should I? To I surrender. Should I? To I surrender. What will your day look like? Will it look like those little kids that were walking around learning how to pray a blessing on a house, holding them hands up? Or will your day be sitting in a chair somewhere by yourself, wondering if you're worthy enough to even be speaking to God because of your past or even your present choices? God loves you. I love you. I hope you could look at somebody beside you today and say, I love you too. I hope. There probably is a lot of people in here that love you. Just remember this. No matter how far you run, or how many things you jump into, or how many things hit you, turn your head, and he is there. Why? Because he says it. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't know about you, but when my dog sees I'm with her, she gets a little crazier in this world. Amen? Because when she's not with me and I watch her through the door, she's afraid of her own shadow. I'm just saying. Right? You'll see her jump just like a cat when a shadow comes. I pray that the blessings of the Lord will be upon you in many, many ways. I pray that you can let go of your past, your present, or the fears of this future. Walk towards the light, the bush that God is showing you. Take those shoes off and feel like you are home again. And understand that God is with you. Amen.